Welcome, one and all, to another edition of the Preport. I'm John Idarola, and yes, there are apparently typos in the title or something. I don't. It's hard to do. I'm like pressing it, but anyway, thank you for being here. Super quick Preport. We got a show coming up. We've got breaking news that we need to break down on that show, and Sabrina's gonna be here, and there's a lot that's going on. But I want to talk about a few things here. Some of them important, some of them just self-indulgent, perhaps, I suppose, but we're all interested in what we're interested in politics. I will say there's some good news out there. We'll start with that as everybody gets in here and hits the like button. Apparently, the Biden administration is going to ban medical debt affecting credit reports, which sounds like I need to do way more research into this, but that sounds very significant. A lot of people have medical debt. Could definitely see how that could affect credit. Look, credit reports, by the way, need way deeper, more fundamental reforms. People get screwed over for shit that they never should because of credit reports. But especially in America, with medical debt as bad as it is, I would love to see this change. Sort of thing that I imagine Trump would probably reverse if he becomes president. But that remains to be seen, and we will see. Kathy, thank you for being here for 37 months. Glad to have you here. Okay, we have that. Let's see. I also just wanted to mention this. This is a story I was really hoping to get in the rundown, but there wasn't room. Conservatives are now calling for a boycott of Kohl's because Kohl's is not sponsoring the RNC. That's it. They didn't work with Dylan Mulvaney, not giving money to the Republicans. They don't, by the way. They don't sponsor the RNC. They don't sponsor the DNC. Hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of corporations are not sponsoring the RNC or the DNC. And they're like, we're going to take them out. And they specifically say that they're going to Bud Light them. They're going to Bud Light them. You can't just say boycott anymore. It has to be Bud Lighting them. You know Bud Lighting. Look, I'm glad that they have the term because it is different than a boycott. A boycott is sort of a general thing for you not supporting what a company is doing, so you don't want to give them money. Bud Lighting is when you do exactly what you claim the left does and getting overly triggered because you're so sensitive about not literally everything in the world being perfectly set up just for you, so you freak the fuck out over the smallest possible things. And in fact, that's too gracious. Because it's implying that it's sort of a passive thing, that the things happen and then they get freaked out and they get triggered. But no, in fact, you run your life where you just go looking every day, searching desperately for something to get freaked out about. Because you understand that we should be engaged citizens and we should be passionate about things, but you don't give a shit about any of the actual problems facing the world, but you still want to get worked up about something. You don't care about climate change or police brutality or any of the economic stuff, none of that. So you just look for something to, Kohl's isn't helping the Republicans. And then you go back to saying that you're for free speech, where hypothetically companies would not be mandated to provide money to one of the political parties. So that should the Democrats be mad at them because they're not sponsoring them? But anyway, that's what they're doing. Also just wanted to mention this. Ron DeSantis has set up a new political action committee, okay? It's the Freedom Fund. Okay? Freedom Fund, because again, they love freedom on the right. And so it's going to be spending money to influence two of the ballot measures on the Florida ballot. So one is to stop the right to abortion being enshrined into the state law, and the other is to allow for legal pot. So just to be clear, the Freedom Fund is spending money to make sure that you're not free to do with your body what you want or to smoke what you want. Just to be clear, the Freedom Fund's money will go into taking away your freedoms. It's just a perfect encapsulation of what the right is. The things they claim to want and then what they actually do. I have to say, there's worse hair out there. I know what some of you are thinking, John. You look so great normally. I just don't know if this is for me. And I get it. You're not obligated to like any hair that I have, but I have to say, it's not bad. It's got a nice thickness to it, a nice bounce. I think it looks pretty good. But anyway, speaking of purple, I just wanted to remind everyone that available right now at patreon.com/John my latest piece of original fiction, it is The Darkest Page. It's one of the tales of Cloak and Claw. There is a young sorcerer's apprentice who happens to be a lizard who, in his desperation to be accepted and master magic, is going to make an alliance that he might soon regret. That is available at patreon.com/John. And if you like this sort of like Redwall inspired fantasy fiction, there's a ton of it out there on patreon.com/John. My full novel is available for beta access. There's science fiction stories and post-apocalyptic stories and everything. So lots of fun there. But we don't have time, okay? And I know that we're not at 1,000 likes, but we got to jump into this. I just want to talk briefly about Alina Habba. So she has been making some claims about her personal biography, okay? And she has received some pushback for those. So now she's screaming victim because people don't accept what she's saying about her past. I want to be very clear. Her past is kind of irrelevant, or at least way in the past. Her actual origin story, search origin story on the Damage Report channel, and you'll find some very interesting legal stuff about Alina Habba and Donald Trump. But when she was a kid, she's basically claiming that her family had very little money. She said, my first home when I was born was across the street from a McDonald's. I don't think that necessarily means that you're impoverished. There's a lot of McDonald's around, but that's fine. And my father used to take the money that he could have and got a Coke and a pack of peanuts every day so that we could survive. Now, a lot of people are saying, what are you talking about? You got a pack of peanuts at McDonald's, they don't sell it. She's not actually specifically claiming that they got the peanuts at the McDonald's, but it is a very specific and odd way to say it. But okay, maybe they were struggling with money and with food. That's entirely possible. Now, people have pushed back against that for a couple of reasons. Now, people have made the claim that apparently, like prior to this, her father already had his medical license for about 9 years. Now, they were previously, I believe, they're expats from Iraq. So again, you come over here, maybe you have nothing. Entirely possible. My family, very poor growing up. My parents, between them, they did everything they could to give myself and my two brothers every opportunity. They had 1 semester of college between the two of them. It's very difficult. It happens to a lot of people. She did end up going to apparently like a $50,000 a year private high school. Maybe their fortunes improved. I don't know. Anyway, this is just the stuff I'm reading. And again, none of this should really matter. But now, because someone on Twitter didn't like what she had to say, she can talk to Charlie Kirk about how now she's a big victim. He asked why she was mocked over the claim. Well, because it's literally talking about peanut and Coke. Like, you know, it's a little bit weird. But anyway, she says, maybe normalizing me is a problem. People have TDS, and I think to some extent I'm an extension of that. I know that there were comments that were just beyond comprehension, trying to break down, fact check me. I really can't be fact checked on my life, and we'll return to that. I'm happy to break it down further for everyone and all the nastiness. No, my life is not perfect, was not perfect, but it was the way God meant it to be. Well, okay, I don't care what your childhood was like particularly. You seem like a pretty bad person. It's entirely possible that you're impoverished. I care more about what you do now. And in particular, when you try to cloak it in like the mantle of Christianity, you're doing everything you can to get a constant repeat felon off. No consequences whatsoever. And you're going to talk about God. He's the guy who was fucking around on his wife multiple times. You've never expressed any concern about that. In fact, you're trying to protect him for the consequences of the tawdry affairs that he's littered the past few decades with. So you can keep the fucking God talk somewhere else. It has no place here, okay? You know who you are, Alina Habba. You know what movement you're a part of, okay? You know the various groups that have already been victimized by this movement, those who will be victimized by this movement. Okay, now you can use the invocation of God the same way that Donald Trump does, you know, as like a paper shield, something that you don't really believe about, something meant to appeal to the rubes that you have no respect for. You can do that, and let's be real, that is what you're doing. But I'm not going to pretend for a second that there's anything spiritual or holy to anything that you're saying. And by the way, I want to end on this with the nobody can fact check this. Well, should anyone fact check it? No, probably not. I don't think it's worth the time of any journalist to actually look into this. But could anyone fact check this? Yeah. No, people could dig around in your past. They could find out if you guys were surviving on peanuts and Coke or whatever, they could find out about employment histories and home purchases or rent, or they could do that. Again, I don't think they should. I don't see what the point of that would be. But you're like weirdly implying that it can't be done. I don't know, maybe someone can provide some information to Ken Klippenstein or something. Now I'm getting curious because you're being really weird and defensive about it. But anyway, that is all the time we have. Thank you everyone for joining us for this pre-port. We've got the show coming up. Sabrina's going to join me. She's going to give her reaction to the purple hair. The Darkest Page, available at patreon.com/John Idarola. Oh, by the way, a friend and I are doing a podcast for one of the tiers of the Patreon. We're going to be breaking down and reacting to GoldenEye, one of the seminal movies of my 90s at the very least. But anyway, okay, everyone, head on over to the main channel, 8 minutes away. I'll see you there. Hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already, by the way. Bye.